Hi guys, it's Reagan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. This reading vlog I'm really looking forward to. One, because the books are pretty amazing, I'm not gonna lie. I have some highly anticipated releases, some books by some of my all-time favorite authors, so this TBR has a chance to just be utterly fantastic, if I'm being honest. In regards to the week itself, this week should be fun too. We're going to the movies tonight. I have a date night as well with Clay, and then obviously just a lot of cozy good hangs around the house as well. It is brutally hot this week, so I will not be venturing out into the daylight much, but other activities will still be had. But without further ado, let's go ahead and chat about the books I hope to read for this vlog. So here is my stack of books. So first off, this is more of a background book. I wasn't even going to include it on this TBR, but I can't help myself. Predominantly because I read a chunk of Fool's Assassin in my last vlog and then read all of it. And then in a 24-hour period, I could not stop thinking about it. And I also read 30% of this book. Like, it was a whirlwind. I went from taking forever to read the Fool's Assassin to reading hundreds and hundreds of pages of this series. I could not put it down. The first book was immaculate, and I'm really enjoying the second one, so I feel like I'm going to be sneaking away a little bit to read this, but it is not my main priority, but I will be reading it a bit. What is my main priority, though, is first Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is one of my most anticipated releases. I plan to read the whole thing, which I've heard should not be an issue because it seems like most people pick this up and read it almost in one sitting. This is not only a book I'm really excited to read because I love this author, but it's also my IRL book club pick. So I need to finish it in time for our book club meeting next week. This is R.F. Kuang's debut, literary fiction story and is about an author who steals a manuscript and releases it under a racially ambiguous name, hence the name of the book itself. It sounds very interesting and I'm really looking forward to checking it out. Once I finish that, I want to start the Frugal Wizards Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second secret project by Brandon Sanderson. I am really behind on reading this book. The third one comes out actually rather soon, so I'm just been wanting to read this. I feel like it'll be like a lighter, quicker read too, just kind of flipping through some of the pages. So I definitely want to get to this as well. Maybe not finish it, but at least start it. I have a feeling though, all of these books are going to just be too much to handle, especially this. I have been holding in. Actually, I haven't been holding in. I've just been reading this in the first one and literally screaming out loud. I've been feeling so many emotions, but I also love these two authors too. Three of my all-time favorite authors in one vlog together. Love to see it. It is currently Tuesday afternoon and I'm actually going to start making lunch now as we speak. I'm making a little breakfast for lunch situation because it just sounded so good and I couldn't get it out of my head. So let's make it together, shall we? Bacon is done. Eggs are cooking. And now I'm just toasting the bread. Bon appetit. Hello. I am all of a sudden feeling anxious, which I don't like when I have random anxiety. But I thought, you know, let's distract myself with some calming chamomile tea and sit down with my book, because that will be fun. I feel like mildly related, having my favorite chamomile tea, to my anxiety is I haven't really been going outside at all or going for any walks. I love walks. Clay and I are big walkers. I feel like walks really help my anxiety. And the reason why I haven't really been walking much is because Texas, most of Texas, definitely Austin, has been trapped underneath this heat dome, which, don't get me wrong, Texas is usually hot in the summer, but this is an irregular weather pattern that has just but not wanting to leave. And it definitely also makes my mind wander to just like the larger consequences of global warming. Obviously, I feel like I'm just constantly surrounded by terrible weather in Austin, and I'm constantly losing power because of it. We've lost power because of an ice storm. We've lost power now because of thunderstorms caused by this heat dome. And then, of course, you know, I'm back on my soapbox, everyone. You see the news and you see this, the Supreme Court has once again kind of curtailed the EPA, basically ruling that the Clean Water Act does not allow them to police some discharges in all wetlands, which is just like a stressful thing. Obviously, they also already previously ruled that they can't regulate all air pollution, basically just constantly picking corporations over us everyday people. And the end of the day is we've got to protect the earth because it's only getting wilder out here, it feels like, and it's just been something that is on my mind. I know I'm anxious. I know this was a bit of a spew. I'm not gonna let myself thought spiral too much, even though it feels very easy to do. This has just been a topic that's just been really top of mind, especially given just the weather, the oppressive heat I have been trapped in. Again, another call out to just remember to stay involved. And make sure our voices are heard, especially as it relates to the environment alongside all of the other issues we also should be heard on. But I guess specifically, I'm just talking about the environment. Anyway, I'm gonna go read my book now. I'm gonna enjoy my tea, pretend that I live somewhere else. Alrighty, we are sitting down and starting Yellowface. Hi friends, I changed just into a sweatshirt because Clay and I are actually gonna head out soon to see a movie. We're meeting up with some friends. We're seeing a movie called Past Lives, which is a film that looks beautiful. I have a feeling it's gonna be like really emotional and like really thought-provoking. So that'll be great. And I'm gonna watch it and consume chicken fingers, which is the beauty of Alamo Drafthouse in Austin. But in other news, I've also started Yellowface. And if y'all aren't familiar with the premise of Yellowface, let me fill you in. So in this book, we read from the point of view of our main character, June. And June was a part of this prestigious writing program in Yale, and she basically debuted with one of her classmates named Athena. And where June's book basically flopped, didn't even get a paperback release, Athena quickly became a literary darling. And she is very clearly very jealous of Athena, her success, but they're like friends. However, though, at the beginning of the book, June is in a situation where she basically witnesses Athena's untimely death, and then takes her manuscript, revises it, and then passes it off as her own and sells it for a bunch of money and then publishes under a racially ambiguous name. And that's kind of like where I'm at. I've only read the first 40 pages, and here's the deal. This book I knew was going to be unhinged. I knew it was going to be one that's going to cause a lot of discussion just based on people I know who've read it and the reviews and all of that. But it's really interesting reading this book and being in June's point of view because she is so wrong, but you're in her brain and everyone thinks they're a hero in their own perspective. So you see her justifying it, explaining things, interpreting things from her point of view, and it's like, she's so wrong, but it's so disorienting because you're reading this book and through her eyes, it's very interesting what R.F. Kuang's doing from that perspective because you feel so icky as the reader. You feel almost like an accomplice because you're reading from her point of view, but you're like not her, but kind of get what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna read a bit more before we head out to the movies because obviously that's gonna take a lot of time up tonight. So I wanna get as much reading in as I can before I go to the movies and eat my chicken fingers and my popcorn. Maybe I'll get a milkshake. I love going to the movies. It's my favorite thing. But yeah, 40 pages read very quickly. I think I'm gonna fly through this book. I think it's only gonna get crazier and crazier. So time to read. This book is crazy. Okay, I've read to page 70. Bananas. It reads so fast. I'm now on page 70 because I'm just reading it like with my mouth open. It's interesting too because R.F. Kuang is referencing and writing a lot of stuff about like behind the scenes in publishing, from marketing to the angles of trying to make the book appeal to the masses. Like all of these things are definitely coming from her author experience and her experience of putting out books and bringing them to the public and working with people in publishing. So that is really interesting. It's clearly a very informed picture she is creating, and then oh god, it's just awful. Like there's just so many scenarios and you can just see how like, yeah, maybe this is like an extreme example of something, but it also doesn't feel that far off from what probably happens all of the time. I mean, there's the book American Dirt, and like you just can't help but to like slot it in just as like another example of something like this is fictional, but it's like not a fictional concept. It happens. Anyway, I'm just like, every scene in my mouth is just like, I cannot believe we are on our way to the movies and the sun is too powerful over there. We have arrived at Alamo Drafthouse. Are you excited to see Past Lives, Clay?
Oh yeah.
You ready to cry?
Cry baby.
Excuse me. Back home, it's pretty late. It's like 11:30, 11:45. But we saw Past Lives. What would you give it out of 10?
9.
I had to give it a 9 too. Very good movie. Emotional, thoughtful, well shot. It was a really good movie, I thought.
Yeah. Really
One of the better movies I've seen recently,
Yeah.
I feel like. Well, anyway, I'm going to go read more Yellowface now. I've read 100 pages. Try to read a bit more tonight and then finish it tomorrow. Good night. Morning from Matilda's blanket enclosure. I, myself, have been reading. I'm going to read a bit more and then I'm going to do a reading update. This book reads so unbelievably fast. R.F. Kuang has this ability with her writing style. Like, I appreciate that she's like straightforward, but like it's punchy. I feel like my vocabulary isn't great right now, but it's like her prose isn't overly complicated, but that doesn't mean what she's trying to say is like a straightforward situation either. So I just find her books always really nice to read. But anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. Hello, I have, oh! Clay! There's a spider! Oh my god! Where are you? Where did it go? Ah! Oh my god. You cannot live. Okay. I was not expecting to capture that on camera. Anyway, okay, I have read almost 200 pages of Yellowface. This book reads so fast. I'm 100% gonna finish it today. It's just riveting, really interesting, and I don't know, I'm just appreciating the book a lot. So obviously, as I've mentioned previously, you're reading from the point of view of Juniper Song, who has stolen a manuscript from her friend and basically is passing it off as her own, gaining immense success, immense wealth, and basically just profiting off of something that is just literally not hers on so many different levels. What's so wild about reading this book is, I mean, R.F. Kuang's doing a lot of things. She's criticizing and making a satire out of a lot of different things. It's not just about her main character. But one of the things that's just so crazy about reading from her point of view is she's so wrapped up in her own perspective, her own experience, and there's so many moments where she's like complaining about Athena, the woman she stole the manuscript from, and she's constantly always assumed the worst and like vilified this person. She'll reference an experience that Athena had, that Athena has come to her as a friend to like, oh, decompress about, and then she'll be like, ugh, Athena, she's always complaining about something like blah, 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 blah. But then when she has a sort of parallel experience, all of a sudden she has empathy or some understanding, but it's never as bad. Her version of it is always so much worse than what Athena experienced. And this happens quite a bit, and it just creates such whiplash, and you're just like constantly shocked by this point of view. The other aspect of this book I'm finding really interesting is how R.F. Kuang is capturing the publishing industry and also a lot of aspects around just like the bookish online space. Obviously, she's writing about it from an author's point of view, and it's just been really interesting to sort of pick apart and experience from the book itself. Obviously, as someone who is a part of the online bookish space, I just think it's an interesting aspect of this that I am personally enjoying quite a bit. The other bananas thing about this book is like, June is terrible and she's awful and I hate her. But then, because R.F. Kuang's a good writer, she's like sometimes trying to make you feel sympathetic. So for half a second you're like, damn girl, but then you're like, no, not gonna. Definitely in the home stretch of this book, and I'm curious to see like where everything is going to wrap up and go from here. Given the nature of this book, like the setup, I mean, something just absurd has got to happen at the end of this, so I'm just curious if it's going to deliver. I'm really enjoying the writing style. The aspect of the story is just like so hard to put down. R.F. Kuang just has this ability to write something that's very compulsive, and I feel that across all of her books, while still having like very approachable writing, which I also really like. But anyway, I am gonna go get dressed and get ready for the day because I have things I need to do, but I'm gonna finish this. I'm liking it a lot. And it's definitely one, there's lots you could say about this book, that is for sure. Lunch is served. I have finished up work for the day. Clay and I have a bit of a date night planned tonight. So before we leave for dinner, I'm gonna sit down now and read Yellowface. I have about 130 pages left. The book reads so fast that I just, one, need to know what's gonna happen next, like how the whole thing is going to end, and two, I just don't foresee it being an issue to like read those 130 pages because of just the speed in which I'm reading it. So we're gonna sit down and we're gonna finish the book right now. Hello friends, ignore how dusty my mirror is, but I finished Yellowface and I'm all dressed for Clay's and I's date night. I will check in and do a full recap of my final thoughts and feelings, but overall definitely very, very positive when I return. For now, it's time to go get some dinner. Good morning. I bought a fall candle yesterday before our date, which matches perfectly with our 4th of July Shipley's Donuts box, which we are enjoying this morning, you know? Similar. Hi everyone, happy Thursday. I wanted to pop in and give y'all a reading update because first and foremost, I have finished Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, and I really liked this book. In terms of like the pacing of the story, it was just so engrossing and interesting to read. Ultimately, I enjoyed the book overall. I think I would give it like a 4 stars. I really appreciated the concept and for the most part the execution. I'm still kind of waffling a bit on the ending. I thought it was punchy, but I almost felt like it could have been maybe a little more over the top just given how bananas the setup was and kind of how everything was beginning to escalate. I feel like perhaps it could have been like even more intense, even more wild, you know what I mean? But yeah, I still highly recommend this book. There's definitely like lots to talk about, lots to take away from the story too, and I just really enjoy R.F. Kuang's writing. And I'm excited to see what she does next, but that does mean I've read so far for this vlog 322 pages, which I am not too displeased at. From here, I am gonna start the Frugal Wizards Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. I'm so excited about this. I feel like this might be a little more of a lighthearted read. Well, in comparison, I know it'll be more of a lighthearted read, but there's illustrations. It just looks really playful throughout it as well. So I'm just excited to like enjoy kind of a fun, rompy kind of fantasy book. And I just love any book with illustrations. So I'm looking forward to picking this up. And I do want to read more Fool's Quest. As I've already mentioned, I read like 30% of that book in a matter of hours. So I just need to know what's going to happen next in that, which I'll probably read later tonight. But for now, I need to get some work done. I'm gonna make lunch here in a minute, but I wanted to let y'all know I finished a book for this vlog. This vlog containing pretty much some, like 3 of my favorite all-time authors, which is fun. Yeah, I'll check in a bit. I'm very much in like, not pajamas, but lounge clothes. I might get changed a little bit later, but jury's out. Hello, good evening friends. I have laundered and I'm also planning on starting the Frugal Wizards the Frugal Wizards Handbook for Surviving Medieval England tonight. Clay is on his way back to the house with some Taco Bell, but then I think I'm gonna watch some of my K-drama tonight. I'm gonna have like a nice evening in. I need to do some picking up. I'm hosting a dinner party this weekend, which I'm really excited about. My first dinner party. I'm gonna channel my best Ina Garden, you know? So that's the plan. But I need to do some picking up. The house is in quite a disarray. Clay and I do. So anyway, I'm gonna vibe tonight and I truly cannot wait. Tilda and I are hanging out and we've started a new K-drama. I think it's called Kingland. It's kind of like enemies to lovers situation. Guy from rich family, girl who works at the hotel his family owns. It's pretty entertaining so far. Classic trope and setup. I'm having a good time. Hi guys, I'm here with a reading update. I'm actually in the guest bedroom. Clay and I have temporarily moved in here because the AC works a lot better here than in our bedroom, so we sleep better. But I've read 40 pages of the Frugal Wizards handbook for surviving medieval England, and so far it's really fun. I was definitely correct that it's going to be a more playful leaning story, but there is this like very compelling central mystery too. Truth be told, you, just like our main character, are just as disoriented kind of starting this book, so this is definitely one of those stories that's kind of rooted in the discovery element, and as our main character finds out things, we find out things. But to take a step back, we basically are introduced to our main character as he wakes up in a field surrounded by like debris of a giant fire with just his body's outline in the center. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he came from. He doesn't know what in the world is going on, but he's kind of in this like medieval-esque setting, and he kind of sets out to try to figure out information, and he stumbles upon some like written language from this like guidebook, basically letting him know that he has purchased another planetary dimension and that it's like medieval leaning, but he doesn't have any more information than that because a lot of it has been destroyed, and that's kind of where we are, and he sort of sets out on this adventure. It's very playful, very funny, which I'm very much enjoying. On top of that, there's illustrations throughout it, and I'm pretty sure the non-special edition would also have illustrations because they really add a lot of pizzazz to the narrative and just like the reading experience. They're just really fun, and I'm liking it. It's definitely a lighter read, which I feel like I need. I feel like I'm gonna fly through this one as well. It's just playful and charming, which who doesn't love a playful and charming story? Definitely me. Hello friends, I am up and dressed in this dress. Let me show you a little better. Haha! Because I actually have my final wedding dress fitting this morning. So I'm actually about to leave and run a little errand in regards to that because I'm getting married in like 6 weeks. Ain't that bananas? But let's talk about this book because I have read 100 pages of it. This book is reading really quickly. I'm liking it. I think the concept of it is really fun. The writing is engaging and entertaining. Is this so far anywhere close to being my favorite Brandon Sanderson book? No. But I am enjoying the ride, and I'm just trying to kind of like focus on the positives while I'm reading it. I think a main character waking up in this sort of medieval setting that is like our history but also has some key differences is interesting. Him having to like lie his way through it, and there's also this sort of criminal aspect to what's going on as he realizes that someone from his world is also in this parallel world, like trying to do evil and bad things. I typically don't read like cop detective stories. I do often in like a fantasy setting, and this is kind of like a hybrid of both of those things. So I like that it's like in another world, you know, a medieval world, which can be kind of cool. So I'm trying to focus on like the fantasy aspects of it that I do like, but it's playful, it's fun. I'm enjoying the illustrations. I think our main character is generally likable. He's just like a guy, to be honest, but the side characters are really great. And I think what's the strongest part of this book is the concept and the sort of us trying to figure out what's going on alongside our main character. That part of it is really, really fun. So definitely gonna read more of this today. I have, as I mentioned, errands that I need to run. I also want to do some cleaning. Look at my dining room. But that's the grand plan of it all. So I'm gonna go get my stuff and head out. Back from getting my wedding dress. It's now in hand, and I picked up some lunch. Got double ranch. You know it's gonna be a good day when you have a ranch salad, like one of my favorite things. My sunshine girly pop. Hello. It's a new day, hence my new outfit, which this dress is so cute. There's like little strawberries on it. I'm obsessed. I treated myself to it for my birthday. But anyway, enough rambling about that. Let's talk about this book. So I've read 150 pages of this, and I'm liking it. I'm not loving it. There's definitely a few elements that are cool, and I think the cool elements are the concept and the overall idea. It's always fun to kind of toy with like an experimental concept, which is what Brandon Sanderson is doing. Here's the deal. I think you're gonna pick this book up and you're either gonna love it because you like the main character, you like the humor, or you're gonna pick this book up and it's gonna fall a little flat for you for the same reasons, but the opposite. And for me personally, I'm just not super connected to the main character. It's just a guy being in his brain, a dude brain. He's also like a cop, private detective, and he's like exploring this world and he's talking about that a lot. And then his jokes are like not that funny to me. And so, well, I think the idea and the world that we're reading in, which is again this like alternative dimension, medieval England, and our main character doesn't really know what's going on. He's trying to understand how this world works, is cool. But on the flip side, I'm not really loving the journey of following our main character doing this. And it's such an interesting contrast because I love Tress of the Emerald Sea so much, and I love the voice of Tress and the character of Tress, and I've obviously read and loved a lot of Brandon Sanderson books and loved a lot of Brandon Sanderson characters. So this is almost like a novelty to like read something and be like, yeah, it's fine, it's okay, not knocking my socks off, but it's still entertaining. And I can definitely feel like depending on who you are, you're gonna like this book. You're gonna like this book more than others. The illustrations make this book better. I love the vibe of the illustrations. The artist is so talented, and I feel like how the illustrations are bringing the story to life is making the book like a book I want to finish, where otherwise I might be like, I'll get back to that eventually. But that's where I'm at. My goal is maybe to get to page like 300. And I want to read more of Assassin's Quest, which I am going to, not Assassin's Quest, Fool's Quest, the second book to the final trilogy of Rum and Hob, which I think I'm going to read a bit now this afternoon before I pivot back to the Frugal Wizards Handbook for Surviving Medieval England, because I just know I'm going to love it and I want to be emotionally destroyed. So that's the plan. Cozy vibes were needed. So faux fireplace it is, even if it's 103 degrees outside.
Homemade.
Dinner is served. It's been a minute, guys, but I have gone back to my book. So I read with my cozy fireplace earlier, hung out with Clay, ate dinner, and then I went back to reading Fool's Quest once again, and it's so good. The second book is proving to be a rather difficult read from just a trigger warning point of view, and it's just very emotional and very, very intense in terms of a tale. The quest itself is starting to actually, as you would imagine based on the name of the book, it's starting to occur. Like the pieces are starting to form to watch our characters go out on a quest. Structurally speaking, in terms of fantasy novels, quest stories are always some of my favorite. I just love the travel element, but I'm riddled with so much anxiety in regards to this quest. It's like not one I feel like I'm going to enjoy at all. Like it's like I need satisfaction in the way that like I need this quest to go all right. Like I feel very invested in the outcome, which is good. Like the book is reading compulsively because of that. But it also, because Robin Hobb stories are paced slow, it still feels so agonizing, but it's just so well written. I've read another 10%, so I'm 40% of the way through the second book now, which is good progress. It's like over 700 pages, so I think I read about 80 pages just now. In terms of the reading for the rest of the evening, I think I'm going to pivot back to a Frugal Wizards guide so I can just get 3/4 of the way done with that book so I can wrap it up on the early parts of this month. And then I can move on to a new book. But that's the plan, everyone. Reading, very successful, which is always satisfying. And yeah, all right. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my evening. We've got popsicles, Matilda, and season 4 of Vanderpump Rules. Lala Kent has entered the building, everyone. Alrighty, it's time to read more of this book. Hi everyone, welcome to the end of the vlog. Let's quickly run through and wrap up everything I was able to read over the past week. I've read 700 pages. This vlog featured 3 of my all-time favorite authors, which was honestly quite a bit of fun. So let's run through the book. So first and foremost, I read the entirety of Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I really liked this book. I definitely think it's worth the pickup. Talked about this book at length. It was shocking. It kept me reading. It was propulsive. It was 315 pages and I read the entire thing. I also read 300 pages of the Frugal Wizards Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. This is the second secret project to the Brandon Sanderson releases that are coming out this year. It was alright. I still need to finish it. My thoughts are pretty much the same since the last time I chatted with y'all. It's basically okay for me. Like the character and a point of view and the jokes are like fine, but I do like the world. I love this alternate dimension travel. I love the fantasy historical setting. That's pretty interesting. And it's also kind of like a rompy quest book. So there's parts of it I like, there's parts of it I don't like, which is making it feel like an all right reading experience, basically. And then lastly, I read 100 pages of Fool's Quest, heart pounding, heart racing, stress to no end. The anxiety this book gives me is just, it knows no other. This book is just so good. The writing, the characters, the build up, just every emotion I'm feeling. All of the books before, the culmination of the entire experience has been truly a knockout, and I am not all right. But that is everything I read for this vlog. Quite a few pages, lots of great writing, lots of great authors, and I hope y'all enjoyed. But I will see you soon with another video soon. Goodbye.